Hi everybody, welcome. Rob here, and I'm going to be doing a little video on wedding photography and basically going through a recent wedding that I just photographed a couple of weeks ago. Just thought I'd do this because it's early in the wedding season. Give everybody something to kind of work with if you're looking for any ideas. I get emails all the time, and I thought, you know what, it's like a longer than normal tutorial because I got a lot of stuff I'm going to cover, but if you're looking for some wedding ideas, I always look for new ideas, funky ideas. I'm always looking at what James is doing and what a lot of other photographers like Craig Benelli and a lot of No BS members. And I think it's just great to share ideas. So what I thought, I'm just going to go through my last wedding and talk about it and give you some of the technical stuff and what was going through my head when I was shooting stuff and what my strategies were. So I just want to first of all mention that this particular wedding, they ended up with, let me count here, hold on, how many? 624 final edited images. I'm not going to go through them all. I've selected a few that I want to go through and just kind of give you an overview that way. But let me talk a little bit about off-camera flash first. This was a very gray day, so there wasn't a lot of sun. Typically, here's my setup, two SB800s on manual. I've been having problems with my new SB900 on the Creative Lighting system, but it was my 900. I had a lemon, a dud. So I sent it back to Nikon, and they sent me a brand new one. So I was like, man, 2 years I've been working with this dud. So I've been going back to experimenting a little more with the Creative Lighting system using the camera on Commander mode or the SB900 on Commander mode now that it's working. Or the camera on Commander mode with my SB900 on remote, or as you see here in this image right here, I can for this particular shoot here I had them on manual, but I've been going back to experimenting, like I mentioned, using the automated system, the TTL system, the Creative Lighting system with Nikon. So I'm not hard fast on one specific technique. As long as I'm creatively using off-camera flash, I find I'm always kind of exploring different ways. I mention that because I use Nikon, and Nikon's kind of famous for its creative lighting system, and I used to work it a lot more until I got this dud of a flash. I learned, I'm slow. It took me 2 years to figure out that it wasn't me, it was the flash. So now that I've figured it out, I am going back to using that more and more. But I only got that flashback a couple of weeks ago, and this wedding was a couple of weeks ago. So there's my daughter Danielle. She's my assistant, and I have the two stands, two SB800s on manual with Pocket Wizards, and nice gray day. So this is a classic setup here. So what I do is I expose for the ambient and darken it about a good stop to get the detail in the clouds, as you can see. Okay, so I'm just going to lose that, not going there just yet. And this is kind of the end result. Darken the clouds, little topaz filter, and you can see that light coming from both sides, creating that shadow down the middle. It's kind of, I kind of like that lighting for guys, make the guys look like a bunch of badasses. That's kind of where I'm going with that one. There's a couple other shots of the guys here, right here. Okay, another shot looking at the camera. Same idea, moving close. I'm shooting with the 24 to 70, so moving close for a wide angle. I get in on the groom here nice and close. Sometimes I'll shoot each guy individually like this, but in this particular wedding I did not. Why? I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, but I did and always do the guys individually, regular. And this is at 70 to 200 at 2.8. Cranked out at 200. Do a shot of each guy individually with guys blurred out in the background. So that's the guys. Now let me bounce around a bit. Just going to go over some technical stuff, then I'm going to go through the images real soon. Same idea. Right here we have the bride. I did a shot. You can see my flash stand right there. This is the ambient light. It's kind of dark, and here it is with the two flashes coming in. What do we got here? Okay, there's the same lighting, just added the groom in there. So I did a series of pictures of the bride and the bride and groom in front of the reception hall. as we were heading back to the reception. They got married early. They got married at 1 o'clock, and by 2 o'clock they were in the cars leaving to go to take our pictures. And so we bounced around a bit. We had a lot of opportunities to take a lot of pictures. And it was great because we have this young couple, very handsome. She's quite beautiful, quite stunning. It was kind of cool because when I went to the bride's home, she told me, she said she knew 5 years ago I was going to be the wedding photographer for her. And it was kind of cool hearing that because, I don't know, it's just kind of cool. And it's kind of a young couple, but, you know, good family and great wedding, great to photograph. Kind of little background scenario. So they've got that off-camera look there with the flash, and there it is again with no off-camera light. It's pretty dull, isn't it? So I'm going to lose that. Let me go through another technical thing here. So I was inside the hall. They were doing a receiving line immediately to my left, and I threw my daughter down there. I wanted to take this picture to show everybody this is what happens when you're shooting in a backlit situation like this, and you got it on TTL. I use aperture priority quite a bit in situations. And the camera and the light meter, the camera's wanting to expose for the brightest area, which in this case is the outside, and it's saying, okay, we got to darken it, and of course everything around goes darker. Okay, so we got it opened up. You see, knowing that the camera's going to do that, I have to compensate. So here I'm adding in a full f-stop. Okay, and let's go here. So we're adding in 2 more f-stops, 3 more f-stops, 4 more f-stops. So you see the difference from that to that. Now I wouldn't necessarily end up using that. I just wanted to show you the difference. The one that I think I ended up using would have been this one. And knowing that when you're looking at a situation like this, you can't just take a picture and expect it to turn out. You have to make an evaluation. You have to know what your light meter is doing, and you have to know how to make and put down a good exposure on your sensor so that you get the proper results. Because, you know, this ain't going to cut it. Or one of these. Just too dark. Too dark. That's what the camera sees. Okay, so I just wanted to make that point. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through some of the images. Alright, I've hand selected a few. Let me just talk about what I do when I shoot a wedding. Now, I show up at the bride's home. I always take a picture of the house. She's been living there for about 12 years. So there's a lot of history, and I always take a picture of the house. And when I have time, I get the girls out on the street and I do walking shots. But on this day, we ran out of time. Always take pictures of the street address. And the little flower girl showed up with her mom, so I got a grab shot. And I went in. I started shooting right away. I started shooting with my 70 to 200. I cranked the ISO up. And pretty much I know these are going to go black and white. So when I'm booking the wedding, they all know my style. They know I'm going to go with a lot of black and whites and photojournalism. They know that. So I walk in. I've already, weeks before, talked to the bride. I said, when I show up, you know, if you can be not in your gown so I can get pictures of the girls fussing over you getting your gown ready. And typically I see this a lot. She's got her veil on, makeup, the hair's all looking beautiful, and she's ready to go. She's in regular civilian clothes. So I start shooting candids right away, and I think this is the makeup girl here. I'm not sure, or a friend of the family. So here's the situation. Okay, I know looking at it that this is going to ruin my exposure, so I know I had to compensate by adding a good 1.5 to 2 stops in this particular lighting situation. So I got a few dozen shots, just candids like this here, and I'm not going to show them all, but you know. As a matter of fact, I think I'm in the wrong folder, so let me do that right now and fix this. I'm so sorry. Oops, wrong one. Wrong one. I don't want to edit. Where are we here? I'm trying to get to... Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Oh, browse, 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 browse. There we go. I meant to go in here. Alright. Alright, so I showed you a few extra pictures. I didn't mean to go there right away. I saw these boots in the house too, so I lined them up, and I happen to know, for some reason or other, the bride told me she just loves boots, rain boots, and she had a whole series that she had bought for all the bridesmaids and that. So I kind of set this shot up, lined them up in front of the cupboard, and did a picture. The boots are going to come up again later. Again, I did a lot of candid shots. Now the bride's gone into the bedroom to hop into her gown, and that's when I typically do with my macro. I got a 60 mil macro lens. Do shots of the ring on the invitation, all natural light, different angles. Just try some cool and creative stuff. And shooting candid. So she's getting ready. Mom's fixing something on her dress, so I'm shooting from the hallway here. And I did a bunch more inside the bedroom too, and I did a bunch of candids. I just not going to get into the details. I just want you to know I shot them, and it's typically what I do when I go to the bride's home. Now, when I'm here, I asked her. I said, Kristen, I said, has your dad seen you in your gown yet? Typically, the answer is no. I say, okay, don't leave the room. I'm going to go talk to your dad, because when you come out, I'm going to set it up so that he sees you for the first time, and I can get a picture. Okay, so that's what I had set up. Now look over to your left, you'll see the bridesmaids. I had set them up. I said, girls, can you guys all stand here? Kristen's going to come out, and her dad's going to see her for the first time. Over to the left is where Dad had been sitting. I had placed them there. I said, Sir James was his name. I said, James, can you have a sit here, please, sir, and wait for your daughter. She's going to come out in a minute, and she's going to have her dress on, and you're going to see her for the first time. Now, often I'll tell this to the dad. I'll say, look, just meet her in the middle, give her a hug and a kiss, tell her you love her, and tell her she looks beautiful. And of course, the bridesmaids, I've strategically placed them there on purpose, because that's what I always see. They immediately just get all emotional and they start crying. So it's a great, great photo op. Okay, so I got a whole series of shots. I'm not going to show them all, but he embraced her and didn't let go for like 3 minutes. She told me later, she said, that's only the second time she's ever seen her dad cry. So it was kind of a touching moment. It was really, really cool. And after 2-3 minutes, he's finally starting to, let her go, and she's kind of crying. And I jokingly said, I said, Kristen, you're ruining your makeup. I was just joking. It was just I like to lighten the mood when I'm in the situation, just to kind of keep things rolling along. Then I did a whole series of shots in front of her. It was right off to where James, the dad, would have been sitting right here. This is the front window. So I saw this when I went. I thought, great, good silhouette shot. She had mentioned her teddy bear. She had had it since she was a little girl. Great for throwing it in the picture. And of course the windows, same window light, right here. She's standing right here, and I'm shooting from up in the kitchen, looking down, and getting this beautiful light coming in off the window. Same here. We got this nice light coming in off the window. Now I'm running out of time by this time. Now what you're not seeing here is the 200-300 shots that I edited, and that are not, I'm not showing you because it would just take too much time. I just want you to understand the technique that I use. All these shots here, typically 1,000, 1,500 ISO, 2,000. I'm not afraid to crank it up there. Same with this one here. And again, this one here I would have purposely left dark because I really wanted to just make it go dark. But I'm handheld. I don't use a tripod. There's not even a reflector here or anything. It's just that light's coming in, and it works. So when a light works, I'm just shooting very spontaneously, very easy going, getting a shot of mom and dad, bride and a bride's brother. And I'm not fussing too much. I'm running out of time, so I know the door's here, and it kind of bothers me. Not a big deal. I just keep shooting. I get a classic traditional shot like this too. And I'm running out of time, so I know I got to get going, and I get a shot of the bride with each girl individually. I'm not going to show you each one, but I had done them all right there. And then I did a few shots of the bridesmaids looking at the camera, looking down at the flowers, looking down out the window. So I got a whole series of that. Then I had them all stand up and had them come in really close. You can tell I'm shooting down a little bit. That's a good angle because it just brings the jawline out. Okay, and then I shot again, like I mentioned, each bride individually. You could each bridesmaid individually with the bride, and you can see there's a reflector now. So I had my assistant, my daughter Danielle, she's holding the reflector, and you can see that in the speculars just under the eyes here. Okay, so I always make sure these shots look really nice because I know the bridesmaids, when they come and look at the pictures for the first time, they're going to be saying some cool things, and they're going to reaffirm to her that these pictures are awesome. Saw this one already, and you saw this one already, so I won't go there. Talked about that. And I always do the the guys are at the church 45 minutes before, so I can get all those shots, and then I do the reservoir dog shots. The guys all walking, 70 to 200, 2.8 at about 200 or 400 ISO. And I tell them, I said, just walk away from the camera. When I holler to turn around, actually I got a couple of them standing and just looking over at the camera, looking all cool dude-like, and then I get them walking towards me. And I get a whole series of those, so I'm not going to show you the other dozen shots. I got a whole series of her coming up in the car, coming into church, and I got a series of, I didn't show them here, sorry, but I got pictures of the groom and the groomsmen in the front. You know, these shots, standard shots at the church, I'm shooting with the flash. I shoot these on manual because I don't want my exposure going all over the place. I kind of get a sense of what the base exposure is going to be, and I let the flash fill it in. You can see the flash, it's just on the camera, and it's on TTL or whatever it is. Yeah, it's just automatic, and so I usually shoot around f4 or 5.6 at around 1000 ISO. Okay, and I'm dropping low here to get a picture of the flower girl, and what you're not seeing here is the shots of the groom. I got a shot of the groom when he first sees her, and she walks down, and the shots inside the church, like this one, no more flash. I didn't use any more flash until they left, and just a custom white balance. No, I did not use a custom white balance. I used it on automatic white balance for this church because I did a test, and it looked pretty good. So I shot a whole series of pictures of the bride and groom. Exchanging vows. You can see a lot of these shots here. You know, I'm going there. You can see there's the picture, the groom when he first sees her. Where am I looking for? So this is flash, non-flash. So I get a whole series of pictures. None of these are flash. 7200. I did the double exposure. Detail shots. Always looking for detail shots. So 1000 to 2000 ISO, 2.8, 70 to 200. You can tell long lens. Okay, just to give you an idea of how I shoot the church stuff. Okay, so that you can get a sense that there's a lot more to it than what I'm showing you here. So when they leave, I tell them, get your hands up and go, yay! Then we left and went to our first location to get pictures of the parents with the family. 2.8, 70 to 200. Stepping way back, trying to get way out to 200 at 2.8. I got 2 reflectors down here. My daughter's holding 2 reflectors. It's a nice day for shooting because there's not much sun. Actually, there was very little, if any, sun. And if it were sunny, I'd just go into open shade. Okay, I wouldn't use flash outside and just kind of blast it not for portraits. So I get the parents, the immediate family, the extended family, grandparents, and I'm still shooting candids. You know, these are stuff that's going on while I'm doing pictures. You know, there's one of the grandpas who's talking with the bride, and he's coming over with the boots. And I did a series of the groom and the bride, 200, 2.8. Standard poses, 5 essential poses, and all the offshoot poses that go with that. So we went down by the water, which is right in that same area, and they had umbrellas, even though it didn't rain. And we got a few shots of the umbrellas on the dock. Got the boots in front of each girl. Got this shot. They thought that was pretty cool. I got pictures of the boots and the flowers alone with just the dock, and that was a cool shot. Nice detail shot as well. Oh, there it is. Cool. I forgot I put it in there. Then I went up to the mountain. Right behind here, there's more water here, and there's a mountain. So I climbed it and started shooting down. And they see me climbing that mountain, they think I'm nuts. You know, I just kind of like, this guy's crazy. He's outrageous. And I wear black running shoes on a wedding day with my black suit, so people, you know, I'm not wearing dress shoes. I get around. I'm Spider-Man. Then we went downtown and did a whole series of shots downtown. Got them right out on the street. They thought that was like absolutely, like, what the hell's this guy up to? Just some very casual shots, again, 70 to 200, 2.8. And around the corner is an old wall. Went there, did a whole series of the bridal party. I love doing this here. Gets them all like, what the heck is this all about? So I did a series like this. And again, 70 to 200. I'm shooting probably close to 200. Maybe not quite because it's a larger group, but I'm always shooting at about 2.8. And I ask the guys to jump as high as they can. I get the groom too. Same area. See this spot right here? That's the spot. I did a whole series with just the bride. Beautiful open sky coming in. Reflector. Long lens, 70 to 200, 2.8. Did a whole series of pictures. Then I got some with the bride and the girl. I put the little bride, the flower girl, right there. Did a few shots like that, and then I moved out to the front and did a few like that. Then she squatted down, and I did an individual of all the girls. Okay, I kind of make them look good. I do a little bit of retouching and soft focus. Then I come over. I put my my SB900 on, turn it on, and I put the diffuser on it. And you know, I don't need a big fancy diffuser on my flash to get the light to cover. I have an 18 mil to get this shot, so I just drop on the floor, and they think it's absolutely retarded. So by this time, they're pretty convinced I'm pretty nuts, and they're just having a great time. I want them to have a good time. So I always like to shoot this shot. You see the rings there, so I got a couple shots like that. This is the, I got the 18 to 35 Nikon. That's the main lens I use on the wedding days is 24 to 70, 70 to 200. I have my macro, you saw those shots. And then I also bought, it wasn't expensive, it was the 18 to 35. It's about 3.5 or something. Well, for the super wide shots, and I use it for shots like this and for shots like this. And then I get the thank you. And then we moved to the hall, and there's these big rock cliffs by the hall. We had a few extra minutes, so I said, you guys want to do some more pictures? So, sure. There's off-camera flash here. Okay, I filled it in a bit. You can't really tell. It fills it in really nicely. Then I got a series of the girls, because I did not get them walking on the street at the bride's home. And then I got a series of the bride and groom. I'm just showing you one picture, but I got a whole series of the bride and groom. And then the series as we were heading back to the hall, like I showed you earlier with the off-camera flash. So I got a whole series like that. Great, you know, a lot of it is the energy you get off the couple, how much fun they're having. And in this particular case, it was really, really working out. And I get to the hall, I start shooting detail shots. They had fish bowls on each table, and these, what are they called, Japanese fighting fish or something like that. Detail shots, 70 to 200. And remember that area I showed you with my daughter? This was after the receiving line. I just threw the bride and groom on there, and I did a whole series of pictures. All right, so more detail shots. I want to just quickly talk. This is where I finally figured out. I pulled out my SB900 that I just got back from Nikon, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it on TTL. Flip the off-camera, the pop-up flash on my D700, and the menu was already set to commander mode, and I had turned the power on the pop-up flash so that all its job was to fire the remote flash, and I put an SB800 and an SB900 on either side. Boop, did a test, and it turned out beautifully. There's another detail shot. Now when I'm waiting for the bride and groom to come in for their grand announcement, I set up 2 flashes on those poles. You saw those poles earlier, the same ones I had in front of the church when I shot the pictures of the groom. And I'm shooting pretty much for the most part all manual, 1 to 2000 ISO at the hall. This is a grab shot with the wide lens, but typically I often use this 24 to 70 or the 70 to 200, and I'll show you how. But on manual, I put the power at about a 1/16 of a power because I'm shooting at high ISO, and it's on manual, so it's consistent output throughout the whole hall, so no matter where I shoot from, I'm going to get some half-decent coverage. I do have a flash on camera, and I turn it on automatic. It's on TTL minus 2 stops compensation because I don't want that flash to be overpowering. And here's a classic example of, well, in this particular case, I got a table shot of every table. I don't always do that, but I'll do it if the hall is not huge, if things are working out, if I really like the couple, and if it feels like it's just the right thing to do, I'll shoot it. But I don't always shoot that. I like shooting them, and I wish I could do it for everybody, but some halls are like just way too big. 100, 150 people is about all I can handle doing table shots. I just love going around, and I'm just like having a blast talking to these people and getting them all to pose, and the bride and groom are getting all these wonderful pictures of all their guests. Okay, there's a couple more there. It's not looking very happy over there back there. All right, so there's the lighting. They did their grand entrance. I got all the bridesmaids and the parents already. I'm not going to show you those. And you can see the flash is coming through. And the flash on camera, you can see it's not really doing a lot. It's a very, very weak flash, but that's okay because this is the light that I'm working with here. And you can easily get in there and shoot some close-ups, zoom in, or just keep it wide, whatever works. So I did a whole series of dance shots, and plus candids. Okay, so I'm always shooting candids at the, oh, there's the father dancing with the bride. Okay, let me get to the candids in a minute. Love this shot, super wide angle lens. I try and do it at all my weddings. So I turn my flash on camera up to regular exposure because it's now, I want to illuminate them enough. And I got those flashes back there. And I just think it's cool. It's like here we are at our reception, and it's just a wonderful shot to get. You need a fairly wide lens to get it, but it's a wonderful shot to capture. So in this case, I got a horizontal and a vertical. And I think that's it. I do not have any candids, but I can go digging for one if you want. Where do we have some candids? Oh, there we go. Okay, sometimes what I'll do is I will take my 7200, I'll even go up to 3 or 4000 ISO. So 7200, I'll just go to manual, say at 100th of a second, and I'll take my on-camera flash, see the SB900, and I'll aim it to the ceiling, and I'll crank right out to 200, and I want to see if I got any pictures of this particular wedding. I don't know that I did. No, I guess I didn't. But anyways, well, this might be one example. Oh no, that's not a. You can't really. This is just the natural light coming in. But if you do that, if you try, take that flash and just bounce it up to the ceiling. That's called fluffing, and you sometimes get some really cool results. So if there's good candid opportunities, that's how I'll light for that. But unfortunately, I don't have any here. So. More candid shots, detail shots, the cake shot. They had served the first course, the salad, and then there was a little gap, and so I asked them, I said, do you guys want to go down and shoot the cake shot? And then I went home. I was done. So that's how I typically shoot my weddings, and I just wanted to go through that for you to give you some ideas of how I do my thing and get her done. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Signing off. It's Rob here.